The following video topic idea came from essaywriter.org. The title of it was something along the lines of, is literacy more important now than it was in the past? And I had to think about it because it's one of those that it sounds like a dumb question, but I thought about it. I would believe it's more important now than it was in the past, because I feel like in the past, people could get by living very simply. A lot of people could live with very little to no written things. You knew your routine, you knew the pattern, you knew the land. You were surviving more of having a balance with nature. But it really depends on what group of people you ask. If we're talking from like the more European perspective, I would imagine literacy for them would have been very important back then as it is now, probably more so. But I think for other kinds of people, anytime I think of the past, I like to think more of the simpler ways, the tribal living. It was all about be in a group, part of a village, hunt, gather, eat, pray, and do some kind of art or some kind of music. I feel like that was what was most important back then. It was very simple, very straightforward, and anything that was worthy of being passed down, it was passed down through word of mouth, and it was easier to keep up with those things because, again, people kept things simple. It was a very predictable way of living. But in the modern day, there is so much shit, so much bullshit, so much stuff to stress over that it is not in your best interest to be illiterate. You gotta know about dangerous substances, for instance. You gotta know how to read. You gotta know how to follow instructions. You need to be aware of any papers that you may need to sign. For some reason, this is a very paper-oriented society, and it's not just physical paper. It's the things that require your signature. You need to understand what it is that you're agreeing to the terms and conditions of, and read the fine print, little things like that. This is a world that's more full of deception now. And I think that if you're illiterate, you don't exercise your brain as well at detecting deception, because reading is something that fortifies your knowledge. It fortifies your brain, your critical thinking. And if you don't have a lot of exposure to it, then the resources that you can access independently become more limited. Therefore, you don't get to hone some of those skills. And there's always someone seemingly trying to take advantage of you, in the same manner that there's people who are genuinely trying to help you and they don't want to take advantage of you. But it's hard to assist somebody who doesn't know the bare basics. How do you even begin to, first of all, as the illiterate person, how do you begin to trust people? And as the person who's handling the illiterate person, how do you ensure that when this person is not under your watch, that they're gonna be okay, that they're doing well for themselves? I really think that you cannot get by in this world like you used to before, and reading and writing is just the most basic first step you can take at surviving out here. Because heaven forbid, if you don't have anybody and you're illiterate, then I think that's as grim as it can get for you, because that means that you have no chance of getting started anywhere, especially independently. Well, there you guys have it. That's my opinion. Thank you so much for tuning in. I would be interested to hear what you guys have to say, and if I have anything to add to this one, I'll come back, because I get the feeling that I'll be like, darn, I should have mentioned this and that, but I didn't. And I like to do follow-up to topics like this. Maybe I'll change my mind. Maybe I'll think that in the past it was more important. But I really think that in the present, there's not a single day I go by in which I don't need to read. Even if I'm out doing things recreationally, I need to read. So, and to communicate, I need to write.